Well, time now for more sports news with Darren Mara. Darren, we're about to see a historic moment in Australian sport.
That's right, it's great and good evening to you, Janice. Harley Windsor will become the first Indigenous Australian to compete at the Winter Olympics next year. The 21-year-old is among the first athletes named to represent Australia in Pyeongchang.
It's an achievement 81 years in the making.
I don't think everything will 100% sink in until I've actually been to the games and, achieved like that reality.
Australia's first appearance at a Winter Olympics was back in 1936. Next year, Harley Windsor will be the first Indigenous Australian to compete at the event.
I feel like there's like a badge of honour I can wear, and I feel like I can be a bit more of a role model to Indigenous kids that can, move towards winter sports.
His Russian-born figure skating partner Katya only became a citizen 2 weeks ago. They started competing together in 2015 and earlier this year won Australia's first world title in the sport.
Took hands, start skating, everyone agreed they're just perfectly matching.
I hope that we could possibly even go to 3 Olympics. I'll be 29 and I think that's still a good age to go to the Olympics, and hopefully we'll be skating for many more years to come.
This is a historic moment in Australian sport, but Harley hopes this isn't the first and only time an Indigenous athlete represents Australia at the Winter Olympics.
You don't have to come from such a, privileged place to make it. I come from out west, grew up out west, parents weren't wealthy, and it's like anyone that has a dream and really wants it, they can do it.
Brenton Kerry and Kalani Crane complete the team and will compete individually.
I've had it in my head since I was 8 of going to this specific Olympic Games.
The Games begin on the 9th of February. Adrian Archuli, SBS World News.
The Socceroos say they won't be playing for a draw in Saturday's first leg World Cup qualifier in Honduras. Ange Postecoglou's side will train for the final time at the venue in the next few hours. Aaron Moy dismissed suggestions a pressure cooker atmosphere inside the stadium will affect the Socceroos' performance.
The way the boss wants us to play is to go all out and try and win the game. And it doesn't matter if it's away or home, and that's what we'll do. And hopefully it can give us a good result to take back to Sydney.
The humidity in San Pedro Sula has led to some players using saunas in a bid to adapt to the sweltering conditions. Dual Brownlow medalist Gary Ablett is desperate to play in the AFL finals again after finally returning to Geelong. The 33-year-old left the Cats in 2010 after winning 2 premierships. He joined the Gold Coast Suns but never finished inside the top 8 in 6 seasons with the club. The star midfielder says he still has plenty to offer.
I've missed finals football. I'm a very competitive person and I play to win, and so it has been hard not being able to experience that, I guess.
Ablett won't play in the 2-match international rules series against Ireland, which begins in Adelaide on Sunday. In NRL news, the Cronulla Sharks have confirmed Matt Moylan has joined the club on a 4-year deal. It ends months of speculation regarding which side the former Penrith Panthers captain would sign with. The Sharks say the 26-year-old playmaker is a huge addition.
Played for his country and he's played Origin, so it's a big signing for any club to get a player of his calibre come to us. So we're super excited.
The Panthers are expected to sign Sharks star James Maloney in a swap deal. To cricket, an Australian all-rounder Glenn Maxwell says he wants to shed the tag of being an X-Factor player. The big-hitting 29-year-old bolstered his case for Test selection at number 6. It follows scores of 64 and 60 in Victoria's draw with South Australia. Maxwell believes his recent performances prove he's prepared to play a more patient innings.
The last 2 games the last 2 innings I had big 100-run partnerships with other batters, so I think that's starting to change, hopefully, the way I'm perceived.
The full Ashes squad will be named midway through next week's Shield matches. Meantime, England has made a solid start to the Women's Ashes Test despite losing an early wicket on day 1 of the first ever day-night match. The tourists won the toss and chose to bat. Tammy Beaumont and Heather Knight building a century stand in the second session. A superb Nicole Bolton catch to remove opener Lauren Winfield gave Australia some early encouragement, but Beaumont and England captain Knight shared in a partnership worth 104. 2 quick wickets in the second session have given Australia hope of restricting England's first innings total later tonight. A short while ago, England was 3 for 157. New Zealand has consolidated top spot in the NBL ladder tonight, beating Perth. Both sides had only lost one match each heading into the encounter. The Breakers took the lead midway through the third quarter and never relinquished it, securing their 7th straight victory. To horse racing, and leading trainer Gay Waterhouse has won the VRC Oaks for the first time. Pinot upstaged favourite Aloysia in the $1 million Group 1 race over 2,500 metres at Flemington. And finally in sport, the Socceroos take on Honduras in the first of 2 World Cup playoff matches this weekend. Now, the tiny Honduran expat community here will be out in force, and they're keen to counter the negative perception of their country in the Australian media.
Tu bandera, tu bandera.
Marianne Cullick speaks of her homeland Honduras with pride, and after 4 years studying in Australia, it's not only her family she misses.
I also miss the Honduran gastronomy. It's quite different, so we have to unwrap this.
But as important as food is to Honduran culture, so is football.
For us, it's also attached to our culture. You know, it's not only a sport, something that means a lot of our identity.
Honduras is vying for its 4th World Cup finals, and in their way, the Socceroos. Marianne already has her ticket for the 2nd playoff leg in Sydney next week, but ahead of the first leg on Honduras on Saturday, she's watched as the Australian media has bashed her country.
And it turns out we're going to San Pedro Sula, which is apparently or once was the murder capital of the world.
Gags on commercial television even drew comparisons between Honduras and terror group Islamic State.
Not only an offence, but also highly irresponsible. Honduran people are very warm and kind.
This is when he played first time against Iran.
Underestimating the small Central American nation would come at Australia's peril, warns the man who coached Australia to its first World Cup.
You have to understand Latinos. They don't talk about Prime Minister, they don't talk about Treasurer at the moment. They talk only about a game against Australia.
Some in Honduras say Australia lacks an important football tradition, much like what we heard from Uruguay in 2005. But look around, all you see is tradition.
We are a nation, competitive nation. We are united. Bet every dollar that 80,000 people will be there with green and gold supporting.
But first, the opening leg in San Pedro Sula and the Honduran home crowd to overcome. Crunch game on Saturday. I can't wait, Janice.
May the best team win, but we do want the Socceroos to win. Thanks, Darren. Coming up, the weather details and unlikely star spotters. The Sheep trained to recognise celebrities' faces.